Good evening. The nation is warming up for the next big thing, the general elections in 2024. And the big thing that has happened just before the election is Supreme Court striking down electoral bonds. This is a landmark judgment that has happened recently, and the Supreme Court striking down the electoral bond system called it unconstitutional and arbitrary, and asked the State Bank of India, the only bank authorized to issue electoral bonds through its 29 branches, authorized branches, to give all the details, to divulge all the details of the electoral bonds sold till now. And very interestingly, the deadline for that was supposed to exhaust today. And the day before, the State Bank of India has moved a petition, filed an application with the Supreme Court requesting for 3 months' time. Now, this application is going to have a far-reaching implications we are analyzing the banking implication as well as the political implication today at this AIDEM conversation. And joining us in this conversation is Mr. Venkitesh Ramakrishnan, Managing Editor of the AIDEM and one of the leading political analysts, and Sri Thomas Franco. He is a former General Secretary of the All India Bank Officers Confederation. Welcome to both of you, sir. Before we go into the banking and the political aspects, I would like to start with Franco, sir. So how do you read this development? How do you read this move by the State Bank of India, asking for more time to divulge the details of the electoral bonds that has been sold so far?
It's absolutely a false statement which the State Bank of India has given to the highest court of the country, saying that they require time because they have to do some reconciliation. In the bank, as you know, the reconciliation, even during the manual days, was done on a daily basis. The books have to be balanced on a daily basis, and today everything is computerized. And State Bank of India has, in an RTA inquiry, when they replied, they have said that they have updated the IT system to account this electoral bonds. And I know that as per the procedure, only limited branches, I think maximum 29 branches are allowed to handle these electoral bonds. And on a daily basis, they are reporting it to the Mumbai main branch, which is the nodal branch. And this data must be available in the system of the Mumbai main branch on a daily basis, and it doesn't require any time to reconcile. The only reconciliation they can say is that some of the bonds which have been issued but not yet encashed. But even that, from the system, you will know immediately. This is totally a false statement, and I don't know under what pressure State Bank of India has given this statement. We have seen in the earlier cases, the SBI in the Adani case had been asking time again and again that we require more time for collecting data. That at least could be excused. But in this case, in a digital era, the data is available immediately, ready-made, and State Bank of India asking this time is unwarranted. I don't know whom they are trying to shield and that under what pressure State Bank of India has done. Definitely without some pressure, this would not have happened. It's a routine procedure. When the Supreme Court of the country asks for a data, it has to be provided. State Bank of India and all the public sector banks in many other cases, if there is an investigation agency like the Income Tax Authority or the CBI or the Enforcement Directorate, if they come with an order and ask for a data, we immediately provide that. And this, after waiting for so many days, State Bank saying that we still require time, is really funny. It is unacceptable. State Bank should give the data.
So coming to the political implication, Sri Venkatesh, this was the Union government introduced the electoral bond system in 2017-18, and in the 2000 just before 2019 general elections, the beneficiary, the largest beneficiary of the system is the ruling front, the BJP, and so right now we are at the cusp of the next general elections, and what will be the political implication of the judgment by Supreme Court and the stand taken by the State Bank of India? Will that have a say in among the electorates?
See, Anand, when the judgment was delivered in the first place, I mean, political observers, including me, and many other senior journalists of this country, their all important thing is to get the detail that the Supreme Court has asked the State Bank of India to give. I mean, it was said that it was given a clear direction was given to State Bank of India to provide all the details, and the Election Commission was, once those details was given, the Election Commission was asked to publicize it publicly. So, of course, we all know that the biggest beneficiary of the electoral bond system, more than 52% of the electoral bonds have been kind of cornered by the ruling party. So that may be quite a natural thing, but then it's interesting to note that the question that most journalists were asking, who are the people who have given this contribution to this route? And it would be interesting to note who are these people and how they have benefited from this government, whether there's been some quid pro quo. So this was the question that everybody is asking. But now, what the State Bank of India's application to the Supreme Court has effectively banned or effectively kind of stopped these details from coming out into the public before the elections. So it's asking for 3 months' time. By the time the elections will be over, and in all probability, if the election, by the time the election is over, it will not become a point of debate. So I think this is exactly what State Bank of India wants to do. And as Franco ji very rightly pointed out, it was the most important question now is to find out what is the sort of pressure that has been put on SBI to give an application like this. And I think that's the most crucial question. So unless and until these details come out, the larger political implications of this verdict and the background of the electoral bonds as such. I mean, the Supreme Court came out with a very strong word. I mean, saying that that it is unconstitutional. So, and also the government's position that the normal people, the normal citizen, does not have a right to know about the political contributions being given to a political party, financial contributions being given to a political party. It has said that it is actually goes against the right to information clause in the Constitution. So, by refusing to give these details at the prescribed date, I think State Bank of India is advancing the violation of right to information that the Supreme Court has pointed out.
In a way, this move by State Bank of India, it is taking the debate on electoral bond out of the election time, or it's postponing, it's pushing it down after the elections.
Yeah. So that is the whole point. So basically, the point is that it does not become a matter of debate unless and until you have the details. You won't be able to bring it as a matter of debate.
Yeah, Franco sir, you mentioned about the RTA query that was made by one Sanjeev B. Rava in 22/11/23, where the State Bank of India themselves provided the details of electoral bonds for 6 years in 6 days. The Supreme Court gave, I think, 18 days for them to compile this data and hand it over to the Election Commission. And still they're asking for 3 months' time. So you have rightly said that there has been some pressure, something that forced the bank to make this application to the state Supreme Court. But what could be the impact on the credibility of bank, which has, I think, 400 crore accounts with them? The people are using it as a main bank. So this move, will it affect the credibility of the bank?
Definitely, it is going to affect the credibility of the bank. Already, State Bank has been under criticism for quite some time for 2-3 things. Number one is that recently the Goldman Sachs has reduced its rating And just before that, the economic research wing of the State Bank of India had been publishing some articles without adequate data analysis, defending the statements made by the Niti Aayog. This research wing is supposed to be an independent organization. Now it has become an annex of the Government of India. And the State Bank of India so far has so much of credibility, and the State Bank of India is known for honesty, integrity. We know that many of the banks, the private sector banks, a loan assessment, if it is done by the State Bank, immediately they will take over that loan, providing a lesser rate of interest, because they believe that State Bank follows the systems and procedures properly. Now, every common man knows that State Bank of India, what it is saying is wrong. They are seeing in their branches every day what is happening in the core banking system. So, it will definitely bring a dent on the image of the bank, the faith in the system in State Bank. So, State Bank should immediately change its position and submit the entire document to the Election Commission of India so that they publish it. Another thing is that by hiding it, the ruling party is going to come under more criticism. Because people can always guess and say that, see, there are, you have already seen, News Laundry published a list of 32 accounts, 32 companies which had given electoral bonds. After some kind of investigation was done on those companies. So that means that there are 22,217
bonds have been
entries.
Yeah.
So we have to assume that all these companies might have given money due to some pressure on them from the investigation agencies or from the political party or the wings of the political parties, because of which they have been forced to give so much of money. Otherwise, a company, why should it donate so much of money in crores to a political party? I can just quote one case. There is one company which has given 100 crores from Tamil Nadu in 2021. If you look at the background of the company, it is a very small company doing some tourism activities, games and all. And they have given 100 crores. And here in Tamil Nadu, we know that there was continuous investigation against that company because the owner, one Mr. Santiago Martin, has been a lottery dealer, and there has been many investigations against him. So if he has gone and given 100 crores, it is definitely for seeking some benefit from the government. And the case also now, he is not under much pressure. He is busy into his occupation, diversifying his activities. So this might be the similar case, and if the list is out, we will also know some of the funds given by the Adani Group, Ambani Group, Agarwal Group, how much they have contributed through the electoral bonds. There are many other ways in which they might be giving, but at least the people of the country should know, and the State Bank should not cheat the people of the country who have faith on the State Bank of India.
Franco sir, Anand, since you mentioned specific case, and also the fact that Supreme Court has directed to divulge all these details, and that the bank is duty bound. Is it possible for the court now to say that this application that you've given for time is not acceptable and submit the list immediately? Is it possible for the court to take a position like that? What is your take on that?
Definitely, the bank should, and I am hoping that bank will take that position.
I am asking about the court.
Can the Supreme Court turn down this application? And if it does, what will be the impact?
it can definitely turn down the application because the judges also know that the banks are working under a core banking system in which the system is updated on a daily basis, and there is no reason for the court to believe that it requires 3 to 4 months to provide all this data. So I am confident that the Supreme Court will give a ruling that no, we cannot give you further time. You have to provide the data immediately. And the Supreme Court also should take it into account that this dates they are asking is in such a way that the election process is over. The whole purpose of making public is to tell the people of the country that this is what has been done in this illegal. The Supreme Court has said that this is illegal, the electoral bond, and these illegal transactions are done by these people, and these political parties have been benefited. So I think the Supreme Court will take a firm action and give a ruling.
And Venkatesh, my question to you, even when there is a clear indication that the largest beneficiary of this system, the scheme, is the ruling party, almost every party in the election fray has taken this electoral bond, except maybe CPIM. All other parties have purchased, benefited from the electoral scheme. So if this detail comes out, what will be the impact? Will it hit the ruling party most, or will the impact be across the board?
No. I think, basically the very fact that the percentage calculation itself shows that the biggest beneficiary of this scheme is the ruling party. And as Franco ji very rightly pointed out, see, there have been revelations. I mean, News Minute has also done not exactly a story related to electoral bonds, but to the contributions made to the BJP. See, some 30 companies which had contributed big time money to the BJP had all cases against them on various accounts. So there is a kind of pressure tactic that has been taken by that has been advanced by the ruling regime. And I think the electoral bonds, if the names or the details come out, I think this pressure tactic, this scheme, that the pressures that have been employed on various business enterprises and industrial enterprises, that will all be come into the open. So, I mean, it remains to be seen who has contributed to the other parties, to the opposition parties. But then the fact remains that the biggest beneficiary is the BJP, and then I think the names, the list will speak for themselves once they come out.
Yeah, Franco sir, when this electoral bond was introduced, definitely it was said that it is supposed to be a transparent system for the democracy. But then there is a clause where the donor identity is hidden to protect the pressure on the donors. Now that this entire system has been struck down by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional and arbitrary, what can you just give a brief idea about how this instrument worked?
See, number one, this electoral bond system was not at all transparent. Rather, this has been the most opaque way of collecting funds for the political parties. Why should you hide the name of a person who is donating to your party or whichever party he is? If he is doing it as a legal contribution without expecting any favor, it should be known to the public. It should not be kept as a secret. Secondly, this electoral bond scheme itself, if the investigation agencies want some data, there is a provision that the bank should provide that data to the investigation agency. So there is no question of total secrecy in that. Number three is that the bank knows to whom it was issued and to who has encashed. If the government of India is going to ask orally, say if the DFS asks the State Bank of India that why don't you provide this data? This is only a 4-time window. only 4 times in a year this is sold for 5 days or 7 days. So they can always call up and ask, just share us who are the people who have been benefited. And in most likelihood, some officials in the bank would have given that data to the political party in power. And that could be used by that political party to put pressure on that company or person. You have given so much to Congress, you have given us only this much. So unless you contribute more to us, we will put you in trouble. This is all possible. It's hypothetical, but this is possible. And this is the government, the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister had been saying that banks had been following phone banking. You could call up the bank and say that you give a loan to such and so and so, and it was done. If that was done, which I don't believe, I don't accept that, any branch manager will just give a loan without following any procedures. But in spite of that, they had been telling that all along. So the same thing could happen now also. So in the electoral bond system also, there is nothing as 100% secret. It can be misused by the political party in power always.
So you represent the Bank Officers Association. So what is the response from within the banking sector to the step that the State Bank of India has taken, to the very specific stand that it has taken regarding the electoral bonds? What is the insider response to that?
See, I am in the social media from the time this news came. I have been seeing a lot of messages criticizing, questioning, and also making cynical comments, critical comments on the State Bank of India, that State Bank is trying to hide something which cannot be hidden. It is trying to hide a pumpkin inside a bowl of rice. These are the type of comments we have been seeing. And these comments have come in from some of the people who had been in the IT system of the bank itself, who had actually modified the computer system to suit the needs of the State Bank. And they have been also commenting in the Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, everywhere, and orally talking to some of the leaders also. They were also saying that we are surprised why State Bank is doing this, why they are trying to protect the government, which cannot be protected. And because if tomorrow the Supreme Court says that you provide, they have to provide. Otherwise, it will become contempt of court. And bank cannot afford to face a contempt of court on such an issue. There has been an earlier issue when I filed a case against the chairman of the State Bank of India, and he had to appear in the Madras High Court on a contempt petition. But that was not a publicly questioned or the well-known case. But here the whole country is watching. So if the Supreme Court gives an order, and the people who had filed the case, including the CPM, which has not taken any money in the electoral bond system, they are agitating. I saw today that in Chennai, in front of the local head office, they were organizing a demonstration and I saw a press release from Congress that tomorrow they are going to organize a demonstration in front of State Bank of India. Similar things are happening across the country in front of different branches of State Bank of India. That is going to bring a very, very bad name for the State Bank of India. So, I am hopeful that the State Bank will turn around and say that, yes, sorry, we committed a mistake. Now we are able to reconcile it. We can always say that we involved more number of people and got it reconciled immediately. And this is a list. I think they should, without waiting for the Supreme Court to give an order, they on their own should immediately go and submit that list to the Election Commission of India and submit an affidavit to the Supreme Court that we have complied with your order. That is the wisest thing State Bank should do.
Just one more question to you, sir, Venkitesh. Like the major
Yes.
allegation against or the major complaint against the union government is that it is converting the public sector institutions as their own extended hands or weapons. And is State Bank of India the latest entrant to the addition to that armory?
No. State Bank of India has had a track record over the last 10 years. If you look at the State Bank of India, right from the manner in which the State Bank of India funded the Adani project in Australia, if you look at the trajectory of the State Bank of India over the last 10 years, this shift is very, very clear. But what is more shocking is that after the Supreme Court calls a scheme that is piloted by the State Bank of India as unconstitutional and asks for the details, it is trying to beat around the bush and kind of circumvent the Supreme Court direction. That is really appalling. So it's not as though State Bank of India has become a new entrant into this thing. It has been a part of this scheme for very many years now, but it has now reached its nadir. And as Franco ji very rightly pointed out, now we'll have a situation where before the State Bank of India branches and offices, people will be shouting and clamoring and rising in protest. It will be a very unique situation in the history of banking in India. So I think, as Franco ji very rightly said, it would be better for the State Bank of India to come clean now and say that we have employed more people and reconciled and present all the all details to the Election Commission of India and the State Bank of India
So
and the Supreme Court of India.
Okay. Obviously, the focus is back now on the Supreme Court and how it responds to the application that the State Bank of India has made for an extension up to June 30th. So we will wait for that. And thank you for joining, Francoji and Venkitesh. We will conclude on that, hoping that the Supreme Court will take a right decision. And as Francoji said, State Bank of India will also make a turnaround and make a wise decision on this. Thank you all.